Can't see the way we came. It's dark out now. The moon has taken the place of the sun, and yep, we must have been the ones putting the candles out, I suppose. Can't enter the tent. Take the path of the candles.
I sat here and watched two jets carve parallel white lines into the sky. They charted their course, and I followed them for 21 minutes until they turned off near Sandford and were lost. If I were a gull, I would abandon my nest and join them. I would starve my brain of oxygen and suffer delusions of transcendence. I would tear the bottom from my boat and sail across the motorways until I reached this island once again.
It is good voice acting, isn't it? This could be an audio book, but, you know, with a constantly changing visual. So many candles to visit, but I think it would be remiss of us to just go and stop at every single one in the hope that dialogue is triggered. Yep, burnt out car.
I returned home with a pocket full of stolen ash. Half of it fell out of my coat and vanished into the car's upholstery, but the rest I carefully stowed away in a box I kept in a drawer by the side of my bed. It was never intended as a meaningful act, but over the years it became a kind of talisman. I'd sit still, quite still for hours, just holding the diminishing powder in my palm and noting its smoothness. In time, we will all be worn down into granules, washed into the sea and dispersed.
Very true. I think it would be trite to... Oh, trite might not be the word. This game isn't upsetting me, but it is moving. Thinking of the themes, thinking of what he's talking about, what he's going through, the loss of someone dear. Whether he's caused it or not, I'm not sure whether he's caused it or not, or whether he's lonely as a result of it having happened. Whether the man who did it was brought to justice, or whether they could prove that the man who did it... Well, it's impossible to say, isn't it?
There were chemical stains on the tarmac, the leak of air conditioning, brake fluid and petrol. He kept sniffing at his fingers as he sat by the roadside, waiting as if he couldn't quite understand or recognize their smell. He said he'd been travelling back from a sales conference in Exeter. He'd stopped for farewell drinks earlier, but had kept a careful eye on his intake. You could hear the sirens above the idling traffic.
Say something around him around. Let's get a wider view of things. The light of heaven shone around him, or the light of heaven, maybe one and the same for this character. Maybe our protagonist just can't deal with being alone. can't handle it anymore. And so he's forced himself into solitude, and I can't see where this is going. Where I'm taking this character. Because I think for this character that is the right... It is... it's the right thing to do. It's in character.
From here, I can see my armada. I collected all the letters I'd ever meant to send to you, if I'd have ever made it to the mainland, but had instead collected at the bottom of my rucksack, and I spread them out along the lost beach. Then I took each and every one, and I folded them into boats. I folded you into the creases, and then, as the sun was setting, I set the fleet to sail. Shattered into 21 pieces, I consigned you to the Atlantic, and I sat here until I'd watched all of you sink.
If he would have sent the letters had he made it to the mainland, is this Esther character still alive? Was she ever the victim? Did the protagonist cause the car crash? It's like a ghost story in a way, isn't it? Because I don't believe our character lit these candles to show him the way that he has to go. If we hypothesize that he was drink driving and that he caused a car crash that may well have paralysed someone and left them in a hospital bed, and he's been trying to send that, he's trying to build up the courage to write that person letters, maybe to apologise, and that's why he's been studying Ordnance Survey maps to understand how it could have happened, and interviewing all of the people that may have witnessed it, and so on. Maybe if he killed the person, maybe the victim is leading him with these candles to where it is that he must atone for his crime. I like that you can read a lot of different things into this game. There's a lot of different interpretations you could come away with. I would be very interested in seeing yours in the comments. I'm sure it's one of those stories that has no true answer. It's what you make of it.
When Paul keeled over dead on the road to Damascus, they resuscitated him by hitting him in the chest with stones gathered by the roadside. He was lifeless for 21 minutes, certainly long enough for the oxygen levels in his brain to have decreased and caused hallucinations and delusions of transcendence. I'm running out of painkillers, and the moon has become almost unbearably bright.
Oh, I can't see the moon, but I will take your word for it. There we go, we've actually had some sarcasm. I feel we are nearing our destination.
I've begun my voyage in a paper boat without a bottom. I will fly to the moon in it. I've been folded along a crease in time, a weakness in the sheet of life. Now you've settled on the opposite side of the paper to me. I can see your traces in the ink that soaks through the fibre, the pulped vegetation. When we become waterlogged and the cage disintegrates, we will intermingle. When this paper aeroplane leaves the cliff edge and carves parallel vapor trails in the dark, we will come together. If only Donnelly had experienced this, he would have realized he was his own shoreline, as am I. Just as I am becoming this island, so he became his syphilis, retreating into the burning synapses, the stones, the infection.
Do you think this character is hallucinating all of these things through infection, as he has mentioned before? These candles, they don't exist. The writing on the walls, they're all things in his head. He has mentioned Saul Paul.
Bent back like a nail, like a hangnail, like a drowning man clung onto the wheel, drunk and spiraled, washed onto the lost shore under a moon as fractured as a shattered wing. We cleave, we are flight and suspended, these wretched painkillers, this form inconstant. I will take flight, I will take flight.
But not from here. I can honestly say I have never experienced anything quite like this. I think this writing must be entirely hallucination, delusion, brought on by infection. Or if this is a ghost story.
I have dredged these waters for the bones of the hermit, for the traces of Donnelly, for any sign of Jakobsen's flock, for the empty bottle that would incriminate him. I have scoured this stretch of motorway 21 times, attempting to recreate his trajectory, the point when his heart stopped dead and all he saw was the moon over the Sanford Junction. He was not drunk, Esther. He was not drunk at all, and it was not his fault. It was the converging lines that doomed him. This is not a recorded natural condition. The gulls do not fly so low over the motorway and cause him to swerve. The paint scored away from his car in lines like an infection, making directly for the heart.
I think we're almost there, protagonists.
I am the Ariel. In my passing, I will send news to each and every star. Dear Esther, I have burnt my belongings, my books, this death certificate. Mine will be written all across this island. Who was Jakobsen? Who remembers him? Donnelly has written of him, but who was Donnelly? Who remembers him? I have painted, carved, hewn, scored into this space all that I could draw from him. There will be another to these shores to remember me. I will rise from the ocean like an island without bottom, come together like a stone, become an Ariel, a beacon, that they will not forget you. We've always been drawn here. One day the gulls will return and nest in our bones and our history. I will look to my left and see Esther Donnelly flying beside me. I will look to my right and see Paul Jacobsen flying beside me. They will leave white lines carved into the air to reach the mainland, where help will be sent. Come back.
Well, what can be said? Aside from, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much for watching. I'm not entirely sure what to make of that. Certainly that was enjoyable in a sense. It wasn't a game in one way, but it definitely was in the other. It was a story, and it's a story I think that was worth telling. Excellent graphics, excellent sound, excellent story, and make of it what you will. But thank you very much for watching. If you have made it this far, I very much appreciate it.